You know that feeling? It's 7 a.m. The alarm goes off, just piercing through whatever dream you were having.
Mm-hmm.
One eye is barely open, you're still half asleep, but your hand, it's like it has a mind of its own. It's already reaching for the nightstand.
You grab the phone.
You grab the phone, the screen lights up the whole room, and you tap that little news app icon.
The morning ritual.
Right. And within, I don't know, 30 seconds, before you've even had a sip of coffee, you can feel this like physical weight settling in your chest.
Yeah. It's war in the East, recession in the West, climate catastrophe basically everywhere else. It's the definition of the doom scroll.
It is such an incredibly heavy way to start the day. You're just flooding your brain with cortisol before you've even stood up.
Exactly. It's a daily ritual of despair. You put the phone down and you just want to pull the covers back over your head.
But here's the question we're wrestling with today, and it's a big one. Is that feeling of dread just an unfortunate accident of living in a chaotic world? Or is it a product feature?
That is a terrifying distinction to make.
Yeah.
But it's the central question of the deep dive we are jumping into today.
We're looking at a really provocative article. It was published today, Friday, January 23, 2026.
And it's titled The AI Optimist, Engineering Hope in the News Cycle.
And let me tell you, this isn't just some critique of the news. This is a pitch. It's a blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
The author is outlining a literal billion-dollar startup idea that they claim can fix our collective mental health.
And destroy the traditional news industry in the process.
Yep.
It's a fascinating collision of media criticism, AI, and behavioral psychology.
It really is.
So I want you, the listener, to put yourself in a specific mindset for this deep dive. Just stop thinking like a passive news consumer for a moment.
Okay.
Imagine you're a venture capitalist or maybe a hungry app developer looking for that next world-changing idea. Because that's exactly what this source material is proposing.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to get the solution, we first have to really understand the diagnosis. And the author of this article, they do not hold back.
No, they really don't. They don't just say the news is negative. They go for the jugular.
The source material describes the legacy news media business model as profoundly vile.
Vile. Wow.
It argues that the anxiety you feel when you read the headlines isn't a byproduct of the state of the world.
No, it's the intended result. That's the argument.
It's the old saying, right? If it bleeds, it leads. We've all heard that one.
But this source takes it a step further. It argues the owners, the CEOs of these corporations, they are fully aware that anxiety and depression keep people tuned in.
It's a feedback loop. You get scared, you keep watching to stay safe, and in the meantime, they sell ads.
They make money. The article actually characterizes these media executives as, and this is a quote, sociopathic and destructive.
Sociopathic.
Yeah. It claims they're motivated by greedy pockets and that they intentionally craft stories to maximize fear.
So even when something good happens, like a medical miracle or a positive trend,
They'll spin it. They'll find the angle on what could go wrong. It's wild when you think about it. We're wired to look for danger, evolutionarily speaking.
it's the amygdala hijack, right? If you see a tiger in the grass, you pay attention.
Exactly. But if you see a pretty flower, you might just ignore it. The source argues these companies are hacking that evolutionary drive for profit
They don't want the world's people to feel hopeful or happy about anything.
because happy people put the phone down and go live their lives. Anxious people keep clicking.
So they aren't just reporting on the fire, they're shouting, "Fire!" in a crowded theater because they sell tickets to the panic.
That is a very, very apt analogy. And it brings us to the billion-dollar startup idea. The author isn't just complaining, they're proposing a technological intervention.
An AI optimist. Love this concept. So the idea is an app that uses artificial intelligence to scour the internet for all those scary news stories.
But instead of just serving them up raw,
It reframes them.
but, and this is a crucial distinction made in the source, it's not about being, naively Pollyannish.
Right. It's not about lying. It's not saying there is no war.
Exactly. The source is very clear on this. The prompt given to the AI isn't make this sound perfect. It is.
Don't be unrealistic. Just be more positive.
That's it. It's about highlighting the upside, the potential, rather than just the threat.
So it's the glass half full filter for reality.
Precisely. And to prove it works, the author actually ran an experiment. They used a news story from today, January 23, 2026.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Because when you see the two versions side by side, it's like you're looking at two different worlds.
It really is. So let's set the scene. We're talking about the World Economic Forum in Davos.
The big gathering of the global elite. And the speaker is Kristalina Georgieva, head of the International Monetary Fund, the IMF.
Right. And she gave a speech today about the impact of AI on the labor market.
A heavy topic. I mean, everyone is worried about AI taking their jobs. Now, the author first shows us the legacy media version. This one is from The Guardian.
And if you're a young person listening to this, get ready because the vibes are not great.
To put it mildly, The Guardian report leads with a very specific, very destructive metaphor. It quotes Georgieva saying AI will be a tsunami hitting the labor market.
A tsunami.
Yeah.
Just that word.
Think about that word for a second. It's destructive, unstoppable, deadly.
You don't negotiate with the tsunami, you run.
And the stats follow that narrative. The report highlights that 60% of jobs in advanced economies will be affected. Globally, it's 40%.
And it specifically points out that young people are the worst affected.
So if I'm reading that over my morning coffee, what am I hearing? I'm hearing, my job is gone.
I'm going to be drowned by a robot wave.
I am obsolete, yeah.
The source calls this the Dune version. It emphasizes job elimination, fear, a warning to the world. It frames the entire shift as a threat to survival.
It triggers that flight or fight response we were just talking about.
Exactly. Okay, so now let's flip the switch. The author took that same text, same facts, same speech, same stats, and fed it into an AI, Gemini 3.
With the command to reframe it, to inspire hope without being unrealistic.
And the result is what the source calls the Bloom version. And the difference is just immediate, instead of a tsunami.
AI is described as a powerful wave of innovation.
See, that is subtle, but it is huge. A wave of innovation sounds like something you want to ride. Surfers look for waves.
It implies energy, momentum. A tsunami is just death.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And look how it handles the statistics. Remember that 60% figure? The original said 60% of jobs would be affected.
Implying disrupted or destroyed.
The AI reframe says 60% of roles are expected to be positively touched or enhanced.
Positively touched. I mean, that is a massive shift in tone. It changes the whole narrative from disruption to enhancement.
It sounds like help is on the way, not destruction. And for the young people.
The ones who are worst affected.
The AI version says this shift marks the beginning of a new era of skill-based prosperity.
Skill-based prosperity. That sounds amazing. It's not about losing your job. It's about skipping the grunt work.
Right. The AI version says it opens the door for the next generation to bypass entry-level drudgery.
And focus on high-value, creative, strategic roles instead.
What fascinates me here is that both versions are technically interpreting the same data. The IMF report did say jobs would be transformed.
But one version assumes transformation means pain, and the other assumes transformation means growth. It just highlights how much power the storyteller has.
The facts are neutral. 60% of jobs change. But the framing is everything.
Is it a cliff we're falling off or a mountain we're climbing?
Precisely. And the AI version, it didn't stop there. It added some economic context, what the source calls the multiplier effect, that really fleshes out why we should be optimistic.
This is where it started connecting dots that the human journalist didn't.
Yeah, let's dig into that multiplier effect, because this is the logic that turns hope into actual, dollars and cents.
So how does the source explain it?
Okay, so the AI looks at the premise. AI makes workers more productive. It notes that 1 in 10 jobs in advanced economies have already been supercharged by AI.
Supercharged. Again, what a great word choice. So much better than automated.
It is, and it explains the chain reaction. It argues that workers in these supercharged roles see productivity soar.
And when you're more productive, you generally command higher pay.
Yeah.
Or you have more time, or both.
Which leads to a sense of professional empowerment. That's step 1.
Okay, so I have better tools, I do better work, I make more money, I feel better about my job. Got it.
Right. And here's the multiplier part. When you have workers earning more money and feeling empowered, what do?
They spend it. They go out to dinner, they renovate their kitchens, they buy nicer clothes.
They reinvest in their communities.
Yeah.
The AI paints this picture of a vibrant economy where the middle class remains a resilient and thriving engine.
Which is a stark contrast to the image of a decimated workforce just swept away by a tsunami.
Totally. The logic is higher productivity leads to higher wages, which leads to higher consumption, which supports local businesses.
So if I'm the user of this app, I finish reading that story and I feel motivated. I feel like I need to go learn how to use these tools so I can catch that wave. I don't feel like crawling back into bed.
And that is the crux of the author's argument. The source believes that this feeling, this optimism, is a product that people are starving for.
They argue that if someone builds this app, it won't just be popular.
It will be inevitable. The author actually says, I can't see this not happening.
They envision this app scaling up to reframe hundreds, maybe thousands of stories every single day.
And the end game. This is the most radical part. The author hopes this startup will make billions of dollars, yes. But the ultimate goal is to put the sociopathic and destructive legacy news media completely out of business.
Wow, it's not just about competition, it's extinction.
Replacing the fear factory with a hope engine, it raises a really interesting question about the market for information.
We assume people click on fear because it's human nature.
But this source argues that we only click on fear because it's the only option on the menu. If you offer a nutritious, hopeful alternative, maybe people will switch their diet.
It's like the difference between junk food and a really good, healthy meal that actually tastes good. If you can make hope taste as good as fear, you win.
But we have to consider the implications here. I mean, we're talking about using AI to actively filter our perception of reality.
That's true. If a literal tsunami was coming, like actual water, not a metaphor, I wouldn't want an app to tell me it's a powerful wave of hydration.
Right. You don't want to know you need to run. A fair point.
And the prompt did explicitly say, don't be unrealistic. But
Right.
where is that line?
Well, in the case of the economy, optimism can actually be a self-fulfilling prophecy. This is a concept in economics known as animal spirits.
Oh, I've heard of this. It's basically how confidence drives the market, right?
Exactly. Economics isn't physics, it's psychology. If the news tells everyone a recession is coming, people get scared. They stop spending.
Businesses stop hiring because they anticipate a downturn.
And what happens? You get a recession. The news creates the reality it reports.
So in that sense, the Bloom version might actually be more accurate in the long run.
Because it encourages the behavior that makes the prediction come true. That's the argument. It's the observer effect applied to macroeconomics.
That is a mind-bending thought. That the news isn't just reporting on the recession, they're inviting it.
They're rolling out the red carpet for it. And this AI app would be inviting the boom.
And that is why the author calls the legacy model vile. They see it as a machine that manufactures suffering.
And the AI optimist isn't just a news filter, it's an attempt to manufacture success.
It makes you rethink the entire role of a journalist. Is the job just to document the crash, or do you have a responsibility to point out the parachute?
The source would argue that for too long, we focused only on the crash. And this startup is basically saying, let's focus on the parachute.
So we have a clear battle line drawn here. On one side, the if it bleeds, it leads giants, making money off our anxiety.
And on the other, a theoretical startup using AI to engineer hope.
And the technology to do it, it exists right now. As the source showed with that Gemini 3 example, the capability is already here.
It's just waiting for that savvy app developer to package it.
It really makes you wonder why it hasn't happened yet. Or maybe it's being coded in a garage somewhere as we speak.
I mean, given the date on this article, January 2026, and the pace of AI development, I wouldn't be surprised if we see a beta version of this concept very soon.
The demand for mental relief is certainly there. I think we'd all pay a monthly subscription for a little less dread in our lives.
Absolutely. And, you know, the author mentions that legacy media is dying anyway. Young people aren't watching the 6 p.m. news.
No, they tuned out a long time ago. They're on TikTok, or they're just avoiding news entirely because the doom scroll is too exhausting.
This proposal is essentially saying, we can give you the information you need to be a citizen without the emotional tax that usually comes with it.
Emotional tax. I like that. We are paying a heavy tax right now.
We are. And this brings us back to you, the listener. We've unpacked the sociopathic news cycle, the doom scroll, and this potential for an empathy-driven AI news filter.
And whether you're that investor looking for the next big thing or just someone tired of the bad news, this concept hits home. It reminds us that how we consume information literally shapes our reality.
It really does. We are not just passive recipients of news. We are active participants in how we interpret it.
Yeah.
And soon, we might have tools that help us interpret it more generously.
So we'll leave you with this final thought to mull over. It's something that wasn't explicitly in the article, but it's been hovering over this whole conversation for me.
If we do use AI to filter out the fear and highlight the hope, do we risk creating a society that is happier, but maybe less prepared for genuine threats? Or does the act of believing in a better future actually make that future more likely to happen?
That's the big wager. Thanks for diving in with us.
Until next time.